Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead review. This one is episode 10 of season 6 and is titled Handle with Care. This one is primarily focused on Daniel, and there's this sort of, murder mystery whodunit sort of storyline here. And I do want to say I thought it worked. I think this is actually the perfect episode to have out after last week's episode, because where do you start off with the next arc? Where do you go after what happened in last week's episode? You need sort of a, downtime episode, but you also want it to be very interesting, and you also want it to, expand and explain the roles of where characters are at, because everyone kind of got split up, and what's the relationship's going to be like going into the future. And I think this episode hit all of those things. So before we go any further, obviously I do have to warn you for spoilers for tonight's episode of Fear the Walking Dead season 6. And if you are new here, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want more Fear the Walking Dead content like this. I will be doing a trailer breakdown video for episode 11 coming out right after this one, so stay tuned for that one. There's also some more Andrew Lincoln news about the Rick Grimes movie that I really want to talk about. Andrew Lincoln has made some headlines this last week. He definitely has. And yeah, a lot to talk about. So let's just jump into this episode. So going in, I knew it wasn't going to be as good as episode 8 and 9. There was just no way, because what happened in episode 8 and in episode 9 was the resolution to a big storyline happening for, that storyline or that arc has been going on since mid-season 5 around there. And they built up to some big reveals, and John's death and Virginia's death, the reveal of who'd saved Morgan and all that. I do think it all cleverly tied into one another. I still have some disagreements, or not disagreements, but I don't like the reasoning for Dakota killing John. And in this episode, you do see Dakota, and I still don't like her. And I hope that they're not trying to make us like her, because that's just not going to work. But you're starting off with this episode on a pretty high note. And so what do you do with it? And this is like a Daniel bottle episode, but not really. I don't know what, bottle episodes, they're very specific on what that is, right? It's a self-contained story focused on one character. And this one, it's focused primarily on one character. It's through it's like he's leading the narrative of the story, but it's also set where the main story is. And this is kind of what the main story is right now. And so you just kind of have this more personal story, I would say, with Daniel. And I think they actually did it really well. In the beginning, we hear Traveling Wilburys, which was awesome. The song was titled Handle with Care, which is obviously the episode title. And that's a really good band. If you guys don't know about them, I definitely recommend checking out the song. Hearing that song, I'm going to be listening to that all night now. It's such a good song. You have there's a Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, you have, what's his name? George Harrison, Roy Orbison, and, what's the other guy's name? I can't remember what his name is. He's from, what the hell's that band? Electric Light Orchestra. I can't think of the name. Jeff Lynne? Is that who it is? Anyways, I really recommend checking the song out, checking out the band. They have a lot of great music. And, yeah, the one question I do have for you guys is Morgan and Gracie a thing? Are they in a relationship? Because it really seems like they are, but there's also this little awkwardness where they're not kissing each other, or they're not too close, they are in a relationship, but they're very close. And I'm just wondering, did I miss a scene early on in season 6 or maybe in season 5? Did I miss something? I'm pretty sure they weren't ever really officially a thing, but maybe they were, because I remember Morgan getting closer to Grace, and I remember stuff starting. It was slowly starting, but I don't know if it was ever officially a thing. I did miss some episodes in season 5 because I just wasn't watching that second half. But yeah, I would like some clarification, because whenever I see them on screen and certain things happen, I'm like, is this, are they actually a thing? So some clarification on that would be awesome. But Morgan sets up this meeting with Sherry's group and Strand's group, and they actually all agree to work together, which I thought was really cool, as long as they abide by Morgan's one rule, which is we can't ever use this axe. This has to stay as a symbol, and if we ever use it, it's gotta be for a legit reason. And one day they are going to use it. I just wonder in what way. Morgan's really ruling by Rick's example. He's doing so much of what Rick did, and actually what he did before he left the show, which I think says a lot about them, because they're both very smart, very leader-like. It's pretty cool when you think that they started off the episode, and I watched Days Gone By the other day, because my girlfriend's rewatching The Walking Dead, because we're filming that podcast, and we're going to be talking about all the episodes and stuff like that, so stay tuned for that. But I'm not rewatching all of season 1 and 2 with her. I'm rewatching, as soon as she gets to that certain part in season 2, I'm going to do that, and then and I will release like my rewatch series. I'll go back and start to do that. But we're also going to be doing a podcast, like just us two talking about the episodes. I think we'll go season by season kind of thing. She actually has a lot of topics she wants to talk about, which I find interesting because I came to her with this idea and now she has a bunch of stuff that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't mind talking about that. Like what, like Beth, it's not her favorite character, or at least she doesn't think so. She's going to wait and see once she watches all the episodes. And when I heard that, I was just like, what? Beth is your favorite character? I don't think she thinks Beth is her favorite character, but she really likes Beth. And she knows that the fan base doesn't really like her. And so she wants to make a video, or I guess have an episode of the podcast talking about why we should all like Beth. So I'm like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. I think that'd be a lot of fun to discuss that character and what went wrong, my opinions on the character, why she likes her. And anyways, not to ramble too much here, but yeah, Morgan is a lot like Rick. And this episode focuses a lot on Daniel telling the story of the episode. It's primarily told that way anyways. It's just him recapping the whole episode. He's talking to June. We don't know who he's talking to the whole episode, but it is revealed at the end that it is June. And Morgan leaves. Like, that's the first thing that happens. He leaves because they need a fetal monitor because Grace is starting to have some contractions. But I'm pretty sure at the end, at least that's what June said, that it was determined that it was Braxton Hicks, so they're not real yet, but labor is definitely coming very soon. So this sends Morgan away to go and find it. And while Morgan is gone, Daniel has to be the leader here and I guess basically just keep the peace, which he just failed very miserably at. To the show's credit, to the characters' credit and all that, I had no idea that Daniel was responsible for everything. I didn't see that coming. Maybe some of you guys saw that a mile away, but I didn't see that at all. I was wondering who did it. I had a feeling it wasn't Strand, because for it to be Strand, it was too obvious, but I was kind of confused. I thought that they were building to something and maybe there was some kind of trickery going on with Daniel or something, but I didn't know we were going in that direction because I had an idea that maybe Daniel was losing his mind or maybe he was being forgetful, but I remembered, no, he was just faking that. But yeah, during a meeting that they're all having, they're all trying to give each other information and trust each other. This explosion goes off. And first of all, before the explosion goes off, Daniel realizes, holy shit, all of us don't trust each other at all. This is just horrible, but just kind of hilarious. But this dynamite goes off. So now everyone's wondering who the hell set the dynamite off. And that wasn't explained, I don't think, in the episode. I don't remember it being explained. Maybe it was and I just missed a scene, but I believe that wasn't explained. I think that could have just been, Daniel could have just did something and it was probably something like that. But guns go missing and they made a big point that when they all entered the community, they all had to check their guns in at the counter there and then they all logged them in. Daniel went there to go check the guns and they were all missing. And so he's like, okay, something's going on. The dynamite went off. The guns are missing. So he lets walkers come in and then Strand uses a gun to kill Walker. So now Daniel's thinking it's him, locks him up. And man, Daniel and Strand really don't like each other. I thought this was something that, like, I know in season 3 they really went at each other and it was really bad, but like, I thought they kind of forgave each other a little bit since then, but no, that history, it's real. And I like their relationship. I think out of most of the characters on the show, their relationship is the most complex and I think the most fun. But then Morgan comes back at this point and is just like, what the fuck happened, Daniel? What the fuck you do? Grace isn't at the shack that Daniel told Morgan that she was at. And so they're just like, what the hell's going on here? And Morgan's freaking out a little bit. They finally find Grace and then we learn that Daniel told them to go to the caverns, not the shack. And so Morgan's looking at him like, are you okay, Daniel? What's going on there? And then they find the guns in Daniel's shed. And so there's this whole reveal that is happening now, which is, at first I thought Daniel has dementia or something like that. But I guess when he was talking with June did say it doesn't seem to be a physical change in his brain. It doesn't seem like it's that because he's remembering things. And there's signs that point to this is more psychological. There's something going on in his head that, I don't know, some type of PTSD. There's something that is happening to Daniel right now that just, when he gets too comfortable, when things start to look very positive, it almost triggers it. Like he's used to living in very stressful situations. And when he's not too stressed out, he panics because this isn't right. Like things have to be way more stressful than this. And so he kind of creates these things for himself, right? At least that's what they're kind of thinking right now. But June is going to learn some more stuff about it, and I imagine we will touch on this at some point in a future episode. June is also in this episode, but this is really the only capacity that we see her in. It's just her talking to Daniel. Like, we do get a little thing there where she's talking with Morgan, but there's no, like, Morgan's pissed off at June still, for sure, but there's nothing else really there. We'll definitely touch on that a lot more in the future, for sure. Speaking of the future, I haven't seen the trailer for episode 11 yet, but Luciana is going to meet up with Alicia and Althea. They're going back to, I guess it's Dallas, Texas, but they're going to go look for the end as the beginning people, so we are getting closer to that arc, and a lot of those scenes with Alicia talking to that old man, like that's going to be happening soon. I believe that their base, their place that they're staying at is underground. But this episode ends with Daniel deciding to leave and he goes with Strand. And yeah, I guess that's just where he's going to stay now, which I think was cool. Like this episode overall, I thought it was a great episode. Not a lot happened in terms of furthering plot, but it kind of did. Like episode 8 and 9 were just pretty crazy. A lot of shit happened in those episodes. And so I think this one, as a follow-up to those two, like you got to bring the temperature down a little bit. It's got to be this, like, I don't know what this place is called. Is it called Lawton? No, it's not Lawton. That's the place that Strand is staying in. But it needs a name. Morgan, he's literally building this place for Grace's son. So it would be kind of interesting that if Grace's son, or I guess it's like, I guess they have no idea, but she's assuming it's going to be a boy. And so if it's whatever they decide to name the boy, maybe they should just name the community after that baby. Or maybe this is hinting at Grace dying, the baby dying. And so whatever they were going to name the son, that is going to be the name of the community. Maybe that's why they're not naming this community yet. That would be tragic, but I could totally see Fear the Walking Dead doing something like that, because they will make decisions like that. They will do things like that. And I think that could, like that could be a lot of fun, honestly, if they do it right, but obviously super sad and tragic. So anyways, overall, really great episode. If I had to rate this episode, I would say it's a solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.